And then we will get into it. I love the 10 to 15 seconds of lag that they always set you up
right. And you're like,
I think we're live. We're probably live now, and people are looking at us and be like, yes, you're live. And be like, I'm not sure, but you know. So
can you hear me?
This up.
Can
yes,
you hear
I
me? Can you hear me?
Oh,
I see people.
Yep. They're there.
Yeah. Okay. Hi. Say hi.
What's going on?
Say hi to me. Say hi to us.
Yeah. Drop some hearts. Drop some hearts. So, okay, cool. So I'm just going to start back over real quick. Welcome to First Wakeups Unscripted for everybody who is in our massive at-home watching studio audience. Thanks for joining us again tonight. I have Leah Rose Farber, a return guest.
Yeah, this is my second time.
The second time. When it was formerly known as Do Weird Shit. This is much more purposeful First Wakeups Unscripted. And so Leah and I have had intended for her. We've had you scheduled for 6 weeks, I think, 6 or 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I was like, oh, I got to get Leah on. So the reason why is because you said at the time, what, you just got back from Burning Man?
I did a dry Burning Man. So okay. I did no drinking at Burning Man.
Is it super common for, I guess Burning Man is a party, right? For sure.
Yes. Well, not only that. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah.
No, go ahead for it.
So Burning Man is an interactive art and music festival. If you've been there, just like drop a fire so that I know I'm talking to burners. But it's amazing, and it gets a bad rep because people use hallucinogenics and a lot of drugs and a lot of drinking. And so it definitely gets a bad rep for sure. And I wasn't completely sober, but I did not drink a drop of alcohol at Burning Man, and I did no hallucinogens. So for me, that's huge, because when I haven't been drinking. How do you say that? I decided to not drink for a whole year.
Oh, nice.
Actually, around this time, it was this time last year. I do transformational work with people. I do coaching, and I work with a lot of women, facilitators, coaches, and healers. And I was finding that I was like having a drink, like wanting a drink after work, after my work day, right? But I have a predisposition to alcoholism. Like everyone in my family is an alcoholic. Like everyone except for the children, like my mom, and I love you, Mom. She already knows that I know this. Stepdad, dad, like I come from a long line of bartenders. I've been a bartender myself. I was a party girl in my 20s until I found this path. And I didn't drink for a long time. And then I just recreationally drank with my husband. But then it started to get to me. It was like one drink was okay. And then maybe I wanted another one. I'd have it when I was cooking dinner. And then I try and have number two. And then I just found myself like thinking, God, this is not me. This is not what I stand for. And what I would think is like spirit. It's like that little voice inside of me is like, if you want to do what you want to do in life, you can't drink.
Right.
Can't do that. So, especially using it as a coping mechanism, which I definitely was using it as a coping mechanism. And so I finally said it like around New Year's. I was like, I'm not going to drink for a whole year. And my friends are like, oh my gosh, how could you do that?
That's interesting, because it was right around when you came on here. It was right around the same time. That's fascinating. So tell us about I stopped drinking coffee like almost 3 weeks ago. And I know it's not the same thing. However, the first 4 days, Leah Rose, I'm telling you, I couldn't tell whether I was having withdrawals or whether I had the flu.
Totally.
I couldn't tell. And I was like sitting there asking myself, I was like, am I getting sick or do I just need coffee? Right. And so I come from a long list of alcoholics too. All three of my mom's siblings, my mom's dad, so my grandfather, and a couple of most of the children. Again, if you're watching this, my opinion, that's whatever. You guys can deal with it. So
love you.
It's love you all for sure. So, and like a long laundry list. And I definitely abused it before. And then there was a time when I was in the Navy for a really long time, as you know.
Right.
And I remember going to my third ship, like as a leadership, like a no bullshit leadership position. And everybody in that division, there's like 14 or 15 guys that worked for me, and they were all just avid drinkers. And I was like,
yeah,
man, I got to stop if I'm going to be and it was kind of the same thing. Like, I got to stop if I'm going to be an example for them. And that was a really, really big challenge. It really was, for sure. You know?
Did you do it?
Yeah, I did. And but I wouldn't say that I'm clean. Like, I had a beer this week, but it's interesting too, because I would have never have labeled myself, even though I come from a long laundry list of alcoholics. I would have never labeled myself as one, although at the amount that I used to drink and used to absolutely abuse it, if you went to Google and said, hey, am I an alcoholic? I'm having to fill out the thing. It would have definitely been a thing, but I've never been to a meeting or anything like that. And it's something that's just so low. Like, it's just like you were saying, like getting heavily drunk is just so far against what I'm doing now. Like, it's out of integrity with me. So totally. I'll have one or two, and it's just like anything else. Like, oh, I'm just going to have two. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, three is just barely over two. And then by that time it's like, let's have another one. And then everybody's kind of and because that's how I used to roll, and I just don't do it anymore. So I have maybe one with like dinner if I'm out, you know, but other than that, like I don't do it. So
right.
I've been out of go ahead.
Well, I was thinking, you know, back at the beginning of the year that I needed to do something to interrupt the pattern. Like, I eventually would love to have a Bloody Mary on Sunday, or would love to, you know, have a glass of wine. But for me at that time, it was like, I see the probable, almost certain future here. Like, I see the future if I don't take action. And so for me, I had to do, because I'm an intensity junkie. Like 30 days wasn't enough. 90 days was not enough. And I had to do something that challenged me, that like, I can know that I am like doing this. And it was a year. So when I was looking at that, and I knew that I was going to be going to Burning Man and leading a camp, right? Leading a camp at Burning Man on the Esplanade, like, you know, kind of a big deal. At Burning Man, there's bars everywhere. Every single camp has a bar. And so I went there with the intention, like, okay, I'm not going to drink. And like, that's it. I just can't do it. Like, once I got to Burning Man, though, it was easy. And the hardest part was Pina Colada Day. There was like a Pina Colada Day, and they had this Pina Colada party at a camp, and all my friends went, and I went too. And I was like, oh, maybe they're going to have a virgin Pina Colada. No.
Absolutely.
So I like wait in line. I get up there. I'm like, do you have any virgin Pina Coladas? And they're like, no, denied. And I got upset. But that was my only, like, this is hard. Other than that, it was actually pretty easy. Yeah.
Given that everybody was probably like super supportive, because that's what it's all about. It's all about expansion. Or at least that's the story I've been told. People were supportive, or people like, why are you doing that? Or did you find a little bit of both?
No. Anyone who knew that I wasn't drinking is like, you're doing a great job, keep going. And I've kind of trained them that way. Like I'm like, this is what I need. If I start talking about alcohol or my mouth is watering or like anything, I need you to tell me, good job, keep going. But, you know, I think no one shamed me for not drinking. Everyone is like, you're doing like awesome. I would never be able to do that. And there's people that go to Burning Man and don't drink. Like,
for sure.
There's an AA camp.
You know? There isn't. Yeah. I was just talking about somebody. I feel like the last 4 people I've on here all went to Burning Man this last year. And it's my 2020 goal to go with, we have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. And my goal is to leave them both with my grandma and grandpa, and then for my wife and I to both go. But it's really interesting because the people that I talked about it the most, have never, because that was my stereotype of it, because you've been hearing some Burning Man since like the 80s, or when I was born in 79. So you've been hearing about it. It's this massive party out in the middle of the playa. They burn some shit down and it's a huge party. And so, but everybody I've been talking to over the last couple of years have been like, no, it's this completely expansive experience. And then then you come on here, you're like, no, it's a party. Like it's absolutely
totally is a party, but it's also, so
it's just interesting both. To the context. Right.
It's total dichotomy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's super fascinating. So one of the reasons my wife doesn't want to go is because she has challenging energy around people in her family who abuse substances. And that's her vision of it, is that it's just a substance abuse place.
Yeah,
and I was like, no, I don't think that it really is. But no, it's interesting to get the whole picture, because it's something that I really want to do. I really want to do it, and for many different reasons, other than just like, oh, this keeps coming up, and a book that I just read was about that, and all that, so it's just time. So yeah.
Well, tickets go on sale in like between January and March. So just like,
trust me, I've already my good buddy who was on here, Dustin, he runs a camp as well. And I've already told him that it's like, if nothing else happens in 2020 except this, then that's like my one goal. So it'll happen. It's going to happen. So
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm actually not going to Burning Man next year.
Oh yeah?
Yes, because I'm trying to have a baby.
Let's talk about that. I love talking about that. It's super fun. Cool. Yeah. When did that happen?
That actually happened after I decided to quit drinking, like in January or February.
And it just started, it just like the seed like planted, or the universe sent you a little ping, or?
Well, no, I think, my husband and I, we've been married for almost 5 years. Yeah. And he's 17 years my senior. And so he's 55, I'm 38. I'm kind of in the like, if we're going to make a baby, it needs to be now.
Yeah, it's got to be now.
And I don't want you to be way too old, like, rolling your wheelchair around when our kid is graduating high school. But we kind of went back and forth on it for a couple years, where we were going to have one, we weren't going to have one. Then he decided he didn't want to have one. And I was like, screw you. And then I don't even know what happened. We just like clicked into the future of like what we want. And family is so much a part of that it's just like a yes, let's do it.
That's exactly the same way that happened for McCare and I. We met when I was 35, she was 36, and I have an 18-year-old son. And
you have an 18-year-old son?
Yeah, I have an 18-year-old. He's paying part of the rent here, so it's good stuff. Thanks for being around, buddy. Are you watching? It's cool. I love you too. I had Andrew when I was 21, unexpectedly. And the classic story. And it was like pseudo sort of plan, like, I don't really want to do this. It was like a relationship that was bad, and you're attempting to fix it, and and we won't get into terrible details about that. So when McCare and my wife had her own chiropractic practice downtown in Honolulu, and when we met, she was like one of one, like all about her business and her practice, and I was like, just didn't want kids, because my experience with my son and being in his life, being in the Navy, was a really huge challenge. And it was just like, I don't want to do that again, because that's my story surrounding by it, even though it's not what it truly is. And so then we ended up moving in together and started dating. And then we started being like, like one day just kind of like looking at each other being like, you want to have a kid? No, you want to have a kid? And we're both like, yeah. It was just like you said, it just kind of like clicked one day. And then we ended up intentionally getting pregnant even before we got married, just because we just both knew. We just both knew. And it was, And then we had Charlie, who's 3 years and 3 months, 3 years, 4 months. And then we're like, we're good. One's good. And then it was like around a year and a half after that, we're like, do you want to have another one? And so now we have Pippin, who just turned a year on the 1st. And so it was like a really fascinating thing, and how like it's just really kind of a cool experience when it wasn't even really a conversation. It was just time. Like we both knew. And then, and so, but then after the second one, I got fixed because I know like we're good. Because it's interesting how it happens. Like you get it out there and you're dealing with like the combat that is a new child. And then everything kind of settles, and then your body's pheromones and hormones turn back on, and that part of your system starts taking over. So it was really fascinating. We did ours at home too. Are you guys going to do home birth?
We have not talked about it. I am currently not pregnant. We waited until after Burning Man. We waited until after Burning Man to start trying. So there could be a little baby in there, but and I'm like, I'm the kind of person, like I could be totally okay if like my body wasn't able to have kids and like it just wasn't a thing, or like if he wasn't able, whatever. Right. There's so many. I'm trusting biology, the biology of my body and like ours together to create. And we're not doing hormones. We're not doing like, I'm not getting tested for anything. He's not getting tested for sperm count. And like, yeah, my biggest thing around kids so far is like, I want to be a part of changing the world. And there's a long time that like, I felt like I couldn't do that if I had kids, because so many parents, it becomes about the kids, right? And they lose themselves in the children. And I never wanted that to be me. And it's just such bullshit. It's just such bullshit that you can't do both. Like, I understand that having toddlers and babies is like it does take time and energy and effort and like, and I can still do what I want to do in my life, for my life, and accomplish what I want to accomplish, even as a parent.
Completely true. And I think, so one of the things, like when I was still in the Navy when Charlie was born, so I was doing that, and I had, like, the seeds were planted for first Wakeups. She was born 3.5 years ago, and I officially started my business two months before we got pregnant. No, while we was pregnant, I started my business while she was pregnant. Because I've been official, as far as the IRS knows, 3 years and 10 months. So, and then that happened. And so then, okay, we're doing this. And then, man, where was I going? Don't you love that we're talking about this? I have no idea what we're talking about this. This is my favorite part. And so then, so I was in the Navy, and I never thought that I'd ever be working from home. Like, that wasn't my thing. Like, this office is like disconnected from our house, but I can see my front door. It's 40 feet from me. Nice. And Nicare, we share this office. She does chiropractic in here now. And then we just schedule around each other. And so like the life we've created, like we both believe we're still changing the world. We just also have kids, like you said. Yeah. And it was just something that was a fuck yes for us, like at the time. And, but when we started dating, it was like, absolutely not, like, no thanks. And so it was just really cool how this has evolved, and how life can be so full of like really cool surprises.
Totally.
Like, there's this massive fear of the unknown, although everything is unknown.
So always.
Always. So no, that's really cool. I'm stoked about that. Anything else on that?
Let's see. I have noticed the age difference thing. Like, now my husband's 55. He's thinking about traveling the world. Like, this is his time to like travel the world. And like, I'm pulling him over into Babyland, and he's like, yes. And we could also be in Tuscany right now for like 3 months. And I'm like, oh, don't do that. So tempting, but let's wait. What do you have to say about that?
How, because we conceived in Bali. So I'm curious as to, what's he do?
We have an interior design business company in San Francisco.
And so you guys, it's probably very like, do they need you there, or is it something that you can operate from a satellite, or
we are totally trying to figure that out. We actually just moved to Portland, Oregon from the Bay Area. Needed to get out of the rat race.
Right.
This is all like part of setting ourselves up for the future, right? Like, I can't pay $5,000 in rent anymore when we own a duplex that is income generating property. So we moved here, and he's actually gone right now in the Bay working, and the plan is by January 1st that we'll have like all the systems and everything ready, so that, because we have employees that work for us,
right,
so that they will be working, they will be doing the work, and then we'll be able to be up here and manage the business.
Sounds like you already have a plan.
We'll see.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's always a we'll see. It's always a we'll see. But I mean,
he wants to build steam baths. That's what he does. He
wants
builds
to build steam baths.
Yes, as a business. Yeah. That's what he wants to do. He makes wood-fired off-grid steam baths, and that's amazing. Cool. Yeah.
And he wants to sell those in Tuscany, metaphorically, or he just
or wherever. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
We're totally in.
Well, I think that's the best part about this, is that you get to travel and spend 3 months in Tuscany while having a baby, while building steam baths and selling them and wherever.
Totally. I work online. So I get to work from wherever I want. Mm-hmm. And I run his business too as well. I mean,
which
I'm an exec
is in San Francisco and you're in Portland.
Right. I train our employees, I handle money, I make sure bills are paid, I make sure that our corporation is up to date. I do taxes, things like that.
As someone who spent 20 years working inside of the machine, truthfully, in submarines for as long as I was, for someone who did that, to me, it is my responsibility to spend 3 months in Tuscany and build bats and sell them on the other side of the world, so we can prove to people that we don't have to do it the way that we're doing. I feel like that's so much of, like, when you're talking about, I'm not gonna be able to drink anymore because of how it's out of integrity with my business. And I think it's just like the example that we're just talking about now, to just like, okay, how can I just take the next step on, because integrity is infinite in both directions.
Totally. Integrity is like a mountain with no top.
Yeah, it's a mountain is exactly what it is. It's like, okay, cool. I'm going to let go of this. Sweet. I'm back in integrity. And then you kind of plateau for a while and you're like, I should probably go find out where I'm out of integrity again.
Right.
And then when you find that part, like find the next part and just see like where the string ends. Never,
Yeah.
After high school graduation in the wheelchair, like that'll end around there. You know? And so it's just like, I'm stoked for you guys. I'm so
Thank
excited.
You. Thank you.
Am. So
I'm a little scared. I'm scared, and I'm like, and I also know that this is like completely the right thing, the right path. Like I grew up in the Bay Area. That's my home. I was living in the town that I went to high school in. And like,
wow.
Really, there's a part of me that really wanted to buy a house there, but I'm doing the math. And I'm like, okay, we buy $1.5 million home, which is what the houses go for there. Like even just anything, it's not even a nice house, you guys. It's just like a POS, like, will go for $1 million. No joke. But the mortgage on that is like $6,000 to $8,000 a month. And I'm looking at that for 30 years. And I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. And for me, something clicked in that moment. This was also last year. I was really reevaluating like what I wanted my life to be. And the future that I wanted to live into, right? That's that part about like, okay, you create this future, you create 3 months in Tuscany, and that's going to require me letting go of a few things. One of those was living in the Bay Area, right? And then, okay, well, what do I do afterwards? Okay, well, you have this nice place in Portland that like, if you do the math here, the unit next door will save you a lot of money every month. Like just in rent, right? We'd be able to save possibly thousands of dollars every month. That could go to every month, just by making this one little, just by shifting. It's like, it's not a little shift. I mean, it was a 12-hour drive and a huge U-Haul full of crap and like, a lot, but I'm like living into my future that I'm creating for myself with my husband, you know, which meant letting go of the Bay Area, you know, a baby meant letting go of drinking and getting my body ready, which I didn't even know that was what I was going to be doing. Why I was quitting drinking was not, the baby conversation was not even on the table at that point. That came after. And so it's like that unknown, right? We're living into the unknown, but when we're in integrity, the things that we need show up for us.
And I love it because you kind of answered your own question. You're like, well, what's after 3 months? But you'll find out, just like you said, well, I'm going to stop drinking because of this. And now I'm finding out why. And so as soon as you let go, and it's like, I think that's the best part. And I tell my clients the same thing. When you open the door and you turn on the light and all your skeletons are like, oh, and you start cleaning them out, you'll realize that it's not just skeletons in there. Like the next clues for where you're going to go next or be next or how you're going to evolve, they're in the same exact space. They're all in the same space.
Right.
The stuff that's scary and exciting, oh man, this is awesome.
It's beautiful.
So yeah, nice.
Well, I have a question for you in the same realm, because I've seen that you're giving up your group in first Wakeups. And I'm curious, like why? Why are you letting go of the group? What are you living into? What are you saying yes to?
So let me give you the short answer. This is like the cool meme. I want to work with people who really want to do the work. And I want to show up bigger in the places who are invested in what I'm doing. Like, that's what I really want to do. And to a certain extent, like I'm putting way more energy into that group than I'm getting out of it. And so like, that's the thing. So I'm part of a local mastermind here. Me and a couple of friends have a mastermind. We mastermind with us. And since we've been doing that mastermind, all three of our businesses and everything, like it's just been like massive explosive expansion. And I had thought about starting my own mastermind here locally in Honolulu for a while. And now I'm at this table with these two amazing men and this amazing woman. And we're like just showing up and being like, this is what I need to do. And I'm kind of stuck. And then like leaving like with just such amazing and purposeful action steps. So we are actually going to turn that. We're going to start enrolling people into that. Our buddy lives in this amazing house in Hawaii, and he's got this cool table. It's got 8 seats at it. So we're going to enroll 5 people into this mastermind and start using it as a business to help blow people's stuff up.
Heck yeah.
And that's just going to take a lot of my energy and space. Yeah. And so I'm sitting there like, and this is like this conversation about what is actually going to turn into is let's back up about 10, 12 days ago. And I'm sending a message to the mastermind, which I meet with every week. And I'm like, I think we should do this every 2 weeks because of da-da-da-da-da-da. But really underneath, it's like, I don't feel like I have enough space and time to do all the projects that I really want to do, that I really, really want to do. And then when we sat down and we really dug into my own bullshit, it was like, oh, you don't want to not do this. You just feel like you don't have enough space and time. And so then it sat there, it was like, okay, what are you currently working on? What are you dumping a ton of energy into that isn't paying you dividends? And the Facebook group was like, it was an obvious choice. And so I'm like sitting there, and then like that day, I'm like, all right, 29 days till I archive this, and then hitting post, right? Like this massive, because you've got history with it. Because I've over the last 14 months, I've put a lot of energy into that group, a lot. But it's like I've also used that. So it's like, so I'm nervous. It's like, oh, I'm letting go of this asset. But really it's draining. And I hate to say that word because I love everybody who's there. Love them. I just don't have the space to do it. But then the second day, on day 28 of my like little cheeky countdown to the archiving of the group, somebody's like, hey, if somebody starts a new group, just let me know. And I'm like, why don't I just pass this off?
Like, I love it.
Yeah. And so I already have the person. She came up, she stepped up, and I was like, all I want to know is what your vision for it would be and what you want to do with it and how you want to make it kind of your own. And then I can be like, I like what that sounds like. Here you go. and it's just kind of like that, just letting it go. And it's super scary. It really was, because for a long time that funded everything that I was doing. And so I actually started a new group, but it's part of my subscription service.
Love it.
So the people that are there, it's $25 a month to get in. And the stuff that you get is, to me, it's crazy valuable. And the people that are there think it's crazy valuable. And everybody else that's there are all former clients. They've all done the work. They've all been in it. I'm like kind of validated that they're really here and they're moving in the same world changing direction as me. So it's just like that integrity tightening.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like even as I'm talking about it, like I'm like feeling like the fear, like all in my gut. But at the same time, is like, do I want to keep my group? And then my brain's like, keep the group, you little bitch. You got to do this. But then my body's like, ew, gross. It feels gross to keep it on. It feels expansive to let it go. And so that's really why it's like, because I want to do more. I want this hour-long First Wakeups Unscripted versus do weird shit. I want it to be more intentional. The podcast, my client list that I see in this space is full. Like I give a lot of my energy away to people that are paying a lot of money to do this work.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I want to be much more available to shoot them messages back when they send them to me.
Yeah.
But if I'm interacting with 300 people, I just don't have it, you know? And then this new mastermind thing, like when that, and we're launching that on the 1st of January. Like that's the thing. We're enrolling the first 6 seats to that. We're bringing them in. We're starting January 1st. So we're putting that together. And again,
that's hot.
Yeah, it is. It's really, really exciting. And yeah, Richard Branson doesn't have a Facebook group. So I'm out. So it just is what it is. And it's, yeah, it was, I've had 3 people message me today. I'm shocked that you're letting this go. I've got to let it go. Right. It's just like that summer in Tuscany. I have to show people that there's more than giving the CEO of Facebook more money. So there's another way, and I have a plan, and it sounds scary, and it feels really. It is what it is. So, but somebody else is taking it over, and I've also had 2 people be like, "Hey, if you leave, I'm going to leave." Be like, "Okay, go do
later." Yeah.
See ya. Like, yeah, like cool. Like the new person that's taking over, she understands that. She knows that it's not going to be my group anymore. And if everybody leaves, she'll build it back up, and it'll be hers, and it'll be amazing. It'll be a very, very amazing project for her to get to her next place. And that just feels good to just say that.
Yeah.
It just feels good. Yeah. I appreciate you asking that question.
Yeah. Well, I've been seeing it for the last couple of days, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we started talking about letting go and creating space, right?
That's really what it is. I just read Kyle Cease's new book, The Illusion of Money. And like throughout the whole book, he's talking about what's your attachments to money, what's your attachments to money, what's your stories around this, what's your stories around this, what's your stories around this. And the funny thing is that the money thing, like even though I was reading about money to me just represented space and time. And I was like, no, I just need more. The more space and time I can generate, the more money that'll just be there. And so it was just like, man, the space and time. And I remember first reading the book, it's like, I've got to do less masterminding. And that wasn't, and then we sat that down. I was like, I need to be at the mastermind every week because this is where my time is most valuably spent.
Right.
It's just so, yeah. And in my business as well, one of the first things we talk about your past really quick. And then we like find out what the most important things are to you. Mine is my family, First Wakeups, my game group on the weekends, and my health. It was like my top 4 things.
Your game group?
Yeah, I play Dungeons and Dragons on the weekend because I'm awesome.
Wow. I have nothing to say about that. No, it's cool. Good. I had no idea what Dungeons and Dragons was until Stranger Things.
Yeah, it's interesting how amazingly popular it is now versus when I started playing in middle school. It's
been around for a long time.
A very, very long time. The fantastical evolution of tabletop gaming is hilarious. So, yeah.
Wow, so that's on your top 4, huh?
It is.
Okay.
Because it's that important because, yeah, like, it's funny that your husband's like 55 and traveling the world now. I was in the Navy for 20 years. I've been everywhere. And so to like and I moved 35 times before I was. And so, yeah. And so when somebody's like, I lived in the same town that I went to high school, I was like, I don't even know what does that even mean? It's such a foreign thing to me. So for me and my wife to be living and working in the same space, And my son, who's 18, lives with us now. He moved here from Connecticut a little over 3.5 years ago. And so for like my most important people to all be here all the time, it's like such an amazing experience for me now. And so, you know, and then just the people I have most important outside of the circles, like my game group, my buddies, and then my clients, and then everything else is just tertiary. So drawing the line, like that expansive, like who gets the most of my time. It's just a Facebook group had to fall off the plate for me to make time for things that were more world changing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I also really appreciate you just being totally real, like about what was there too.
Yeah. It's so important, because that's, again, we're like talking about that drinking thing. Like I have to stop drinking because this is out integrity with what I'm empowering these women to do. Mm-hmm. And so when people are like, I can't believe you're leaving the Facebook group. Yeah, I am. And you can leave whatever it is that you feel you need to hold on to as well. And it's just, you know,
please do.
Please do. Like, leave it behind. There's so much stuff that we're holding on to that's just unnecessary. So I appreciate you so much right now. It's like such a scary experience to let these things go that we're, you know, and it's really just the history that we have with whatever that is just, you know, that we're holding on to. So it's interesting. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually how the Global Turn On came to be.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that.
Well, it was the Worldwide Women's Circle for,
okay.
I swear, I had a big October last year, because this time last year, I knew it was a project. So the Worldwide Women's Circle was a project that happened that brought women together in women's circles all around the world on the same day. And we did it 4 times a year. And I totally loved it. It totally launched my mentoring and coaching and facilitating career. And I found myself like being in relationships with women facilitators all over the world, which is really cool, really amazing. And then 4 years passed by, and then this little voice is like, you got to let this go. And I was like, what? No, like no, what are you talking about? I don't think so. And I found that a lot of my like value and a lot of like how I perceive myself to be like as the leader and founder of this global project was like so ego and just so, I mean, it's funny. It's cute actually that but at the same time, I had this idea. I knew that the Worldwide Women's Circle was going to be the global turn on. Like I already knew that.
Right.
But it needed to change. Like the way that it wasn't serving me at all. I was giving all my time away for free. I, not always for free, but like pretty much for free.
No, get it. That's exactly the Facebook group is like majority of my time. I'd say half. If I have 8 clients and I spend 8 hours a week with clients, there's at least 8 hours going to that fucking Facebook group. At least.
Yeah.
You know, on this freaking red icon. Yeah. And so it's like, man, I could be having conversations like this instead. And it's just so much more worth my, Yeah. And so I'm like, the podcast is free. That's cool. You can come check me out on Monday night. And other than that, if you want to subscribe to my email list, that's free-ish because I'm going to market stuff to you.
Yeah. So I loved that actually. I might actually steal that. I might use it. Okay. You're going to see a post from me. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, he just put like, it's just so brilliant. Like these are the no cost ways that you can work with me and like stay connected to what I do. And and then if not, here you go.
It's too important just to be like, guess what? Last week before I gave the Facebook group, I was super stressed. I was so stressed and so scared. I'm a human being just like you. That's why this works, because we're being real with each other and we're allowing people to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I noticed, in my life, like I was holding on to the Worldwide Women's Circle, and there was also things in my life that was not working. Like I was my husband's office manager in Farber Art Services, which is our company, our interior design company. We work with art. My husband's amazing. He's an amazing art installer and curator. But I was really wanting to just facilitate, and then I was coaching, and I was like, I coach leadership programs. So, but I didn't have any time. Like I was finding myself so stressed out, and it was like the Worldwide Women's Circle has to go. And also, so does your work with Farber Art Services. And I was like, ooh.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I had to step back. I had to like get real talk with the hubby. And he was also like, it wasn't really working because we were just doing business all the time together, and our relationship was kind of suffering because of it.
Yeah.
And and so I had to let that go and step back and just become like a manager, an executive, right? An executive. It's really funny, but like I was so attached to like my value as a wife and being his office bitch. Like essentially that's what I was. And but I had to let that go. And then I had to let this other project that I was working on that was with my mentor, that I loved it, but it was draining me. Like every time I would do it for 4 or 5 years, I was just holding space, and I wasn't getting anything back. If anything, it was taking from me. And I had to stop doing that. And what else did I like had to say no to friendships. And then I had to like, after all that was let go, this all happened in like a couple months. So from like October to December. And then I just had to sit with it and like literally do nothing. I couldn't take on any more projects. And what happened was magical, because all of a sudden my coaching roster filled up.
Yeah.
Like by people I wasn't like, oh, my one client just referred me 3 people and now I have them on my roster. And, you know, it was just like what actually wanted to show up started to show up, but it wasn't going to until I let go.
Until you let go. And so you know exactly why I let it go. And it's really funny because one of the things too, I get up in the morning and I make breakfast for my daughters in the morning. It's like my morning routine. And after that's done, my wife comes downstairs and then she takes over at the table, and I go take a shower and get ready for clients. And I'll grab my phone and check my icons. Since I said, hey, I'm not going to do this anymore, it's fallen off rapidly because I'm not posting 10 times a day in the group.
Right.
And it's really interesting how fewer icons I have in my little Facebook thing, little red dot. It doesn't say 9 plus. It doesn't say that little whatever it is.
Right.
And so, and the weird thing is I actually hired a virtual assistant 3 weeks ago because I thought I was going to let her manage that group. But the interesting thing is, as soon as I let that group go, we had a meeting today when I was like, and you can do this, and you can do that, and you can work on this, and you can take this and take that and take that and take that. Because before, all I could think of was like, I need you to manage that group.
Right.
Which nobody wants to interact with somebody who's not me in my group. Like, it's just, that's not what it's there for. So it was just like, but then it was just all these other much more powerful things that I could hand off and like let go and have somebody else manage. And it and I wasn't able to even see them until I made the decision to let the biggest thing that was taking as much for me, just like you said, go. And I was like, oh, just so blown away. And just like, but the funny thing is like, yeah, of course that's going to happen, because how many times have we done that in our lives? You let go of something and then something better comes in. And it's like, always like, I'm going to pretend to be surprised. And when it's happening, like, I had no idea it was going to be this. So it's a really cool experience. I'm super, super excited and freaked out about it all at the same time, because the new projects that I want to do, they could blow up in my face. Like that's definitely happened before, just like anything else. So, but I'm here for it.
Yeah. I mean, I could totally fail at this global turn on thing. I have no idea.
Yeah. Tell us more about it. Where can people find you? What's it all about?
So we are out to ignite feminine leadership across the globe. And we do that. We have one main gathering that we call, the theme is Passing Our Power. And we are inviting people, humans, real humans, to connect with each other in circles or events or just even by themselves if they don't want to participate in an event with other people. But we are out to cause 100,000 watts of power. One person equals 100 watts of power. So that's about 1,000 people to participate in this event. And so we're asking, October 27th is our event. And we ask that people step up and lead circles or align their event with the Global Turn On, or just step in as guardian or space holder for that day and like watch the signs or do some praying for us. This is something that I love doing. I literally caused a global movement by accident, not intentionally, 5 years ago. So I love like just this idea of bringing people together across the globe. So we have women participating, we have men participating, we have children participating, we have women leading circles, we have like kind of crazy weird events like a woman and her daughter are doing a project called Magicopia at the Makers Fair, which potentially she could interact with thousands of people. Do you know what the Makers Fair is?
No, I don't. If you got like, what's the website for Global Turn On? I can put
globalturnon.com.
Perfect. And I'll edit this thing when I'm done too.
Cool.
globalturnon.com. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's I mean, it's much more than an event. Like the Worldwide Women's Circle was a series of events. The Global Turn On really is like, it's a culmination of a year of like women up to big things. We focus on women, but it's the conversation around the feminine. Like this letting go is like, it's a leadership technique that is so powerful, but they don't teach you it in like normal leadership class.
They don't want you to.
No, they don't.
They don't want you to let it go. They want you to be a part of the the Borg.
Right, exactly. So yes, the Makers Fair is in Oakland or San Francisco, and it's like this really cool place where artists come together and they show off their stuff. And so we have the Makers Fair going. We're part of the Makers Fair. We have a climate and sex symposium in Berkeley. We have circles in Berlin. We have Croatia, Hawaii, nice. All over the Bay Area. Who else? Canada, like all over Canada. Canada's huge, from the west to the east coast. And we're still growing. And it's like, we're just connecting. We're asking people to participate. And we've made it so that you don't have to lead a circle in order to participate. You could literally be there and just participate by yourself and just tune in to our global current.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So it's the Global Turn On, right? There's electricity. Nice. There's an electricity theme. And we want to pass the power. So like I believe that true leadership, if you're a true leader, that you allow others' leadership to rise. Like you have to be there for the people, and your people, my students, should be doing better than me, right? Like like, and if they're not, there's a problem, right? So like passing our power is really about like lifting other coaches and facilitators and healers up and giving them the tools that they need and giving them the belief system that they need and the mindset that they need. So a lot of it is around leadership and how we step into our leadership as a community. Because I've talked to women all around the world, like literally in every single continent. I've had conversations with multiple women, and they don't believe in themselves. There's like self-doubt, and even men too, but I'm like, I focus on women, but there's just this huge self-doubt, and I want to erase that.
You and me are on the same team.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on the same team.
Yes, check out Global Turn On.
Yeah, we got a bunch of people in here and checking it out. Cool.
Yay.
Any other way, email or anything you want to hand out, or is there anything else you want to plug before we hop off here?
Let's see. Who do I love? I want to say hi to some people. I want to say hi to Kat. Okay, Kat Fauché. I love you, girl. She's my right-hand woman, and she has been totally kicking ass in the global turn on and stepping up as a leader. All of my Earth Woman ladies, all of my Secret Badassery ladies, every single leader in the global turn on, anyone who wants to participate in the global turn on, please get in contact with me. Just go to the website and there's like a very clear pathway to sign up.
Yeah, I'll put that up here in the thing too. Right on.
Yeah. Yay! Oh my gosh, that was a whole hour.
Yeah, it was a whole hour. Who should I talk to next?
Who's on your roster?
I don't know. I got a bunch of different
What kind of people do you like?
The kind of people that I like are interesting, which tells you nothing. So it's like, it was just kind of like what you posted a thing. You're like, I'm doing a dry burn. I was like, oh, that's really fascinating. And I've talked to her before. Let's bring her on. And then what was really cool is that we talked about, I had no idea the conversation. This is so cool the way the conversation went. Yeah. So it's just like, and you don't have to answer today, but if you know anybody's like, I think that guy'd be cool and it'd be a cool conversation to just observe. So one of my big goals is one of the reasons I do this is so people can see what it's like for two people who don't know each other that well. I have 1 hour of experience from you before this, other than our Facebook friendship, which is, I have 2,000 friends. So it's like, whatever, you know? And so I want people to be like, oh man, they really dug into some stuff and they didn't even know each other. And it's just kind of like, it's all about just like releasing that self-doubt and just be like, this is what's going on today. Yeah. We're thinking about having a baby. Be like, yes, home births and the shit. They are. It's so good. We can talk about that later though. So
I just have to say, I appreciate your face when I dropped the baby bomb. You're like, you're like, gosh.
I'm so excited. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's a wonderful feeling to like really want to show up and be a good dad and just really loving my baby girls. And I'm so glad they're girls too, because it's like such an opportunity for me to do a better job than I did with the first 35 years of my life. So that means a lot to me to be able to have this opportunity. Thanks, universe. I see you out there. And
well, thank you for inviting me on. I appreciate
Leo Rose,
it.
I appreciate you so much, and I'll be in touch.
Okay.
And we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.